What's going on, LLF community, family? My name is Jaron Davis. I'm from Springfield, Illinois, by way of many places, currently residing in Southwest Missouri. Some hillbillies would call it Missouri. I'm a professional musician and I attempt to be a jack of all trades. How did I get my start in music? Rumor has it I started playing about age 2 or 3, but I got my start playing in church. My mother was a choir director, and I do recall part of my butt on folding chairs and then playing drums just with choirs, and that turned into an obsession of mine. For some that have known me forever, they do know that I wasn't always just a musician, but I also tried to do my thing on the court, basketball court that is. What I really did was juggle the two for most of my life. I had a gap of about 5 years, probably about 13 to 18, where I didn't touch a drum set at all because I thought that I'd be the next Allen Iverson or Chris Paul. I feel like music chose me because my mindset was always to do both. And then whenever the right opportunity met itself, I choose accordingly. I ended up breaking my kneecap in 2009. I was rehabbing, planning on still going to school to play basketball, and I ended up at a drum clinic in Dallas, Drummers for Jesus. I got to see Calvin Rogers, Teddy Campbell, Aaron Spears, little Mike Mitchell, who's not little anymore, and just a lot of great drummers, and I realized that I may have been closer to my dream than I thought. So then I decided to just focus solely on music at that point. So it's only been about 6 to 8 years that I've really been completely investing my life in the craft of music. Well, as far as harder path, there's a lot of similarities to music and sports. And I think that's why it was an easy transition for me. Both fields, you do require a lot of skill, time, and dedication. I've had more success with music than I did with basketball. I'd probably say basketball may be harder just because there's less opportunities. And growing up as a kid, almost every African-American male wants to be an NFL player or play in the NBA. But the percentage, I think, is like 2% a chance that you'd make it to the NBA. I always say I feel like drums or the drum set chose me. I didn't choose the drums. And I say that because I started playing when I was too young to realize what I was doing. And I often tell people too that if I maybe have started later, I don't know if I'd be the musician I am today because I would have known about obstacles and frustrations of just getting better in the practice room and thinking I'm not good enough and then just quitting. But I started before anybody could tell me that I didn't have coordination. So I never really realized I didn't have coordination. And I think that's just a blessing from God. And I mean, granted, there's great drummers. I have buddies that are way better than me that didn't start until they were 15 or 16 years old, but that was their path. And I think God had a different path for me. So I was born to play drums. When I'm playing drums, I feel like I'm putting my soul or my stamp into an instrument known as the drum set. Do I believe that drummers get their just due or respect that they deserve within a band setting? That's a loaded question because being a drummer, we are probably the most egotistical of the musician community. However, I tried to resemble the humility that I have off of the drum set. But there is a saying that a band is only as good as their drummer. And there's plenty of reason for that because not only are we timekeepers, but we are usually the emotion of the band. Whether it be jazz, you had Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich. These guys were showmen. They drove bands, they had a smile on their face, they were exciting. You look at rock, a lot of the early rock stuff, especially the England bands like The Who. You had guys like Keith Moon, John Bonham, who were just ferocious, energetic drummers that set the bar from an energy standpoint for a lot of us today. And when a drummer lacks that energy, it really affects everybody around them. But having said that, I do think that drummers are appreciated by other members of bands with a certain level of importance. You know, my goal as far as accomplishments, at the end of the day, I just want to leave a legacy. When I work on my own projects, I try not to hamstring myself and lock myself into a certain genre or goal. I kind of just try to let my inner spirit take control and then just see where it goes. If I'm hearing something, I'll play it. If it sucks, so be it. But I sleep well at night if I know I did it, as opposed to not doing it for fear of what other people think. But music is a free-spirited ordeal that in today's time has become mechanical, and one person does something one way, so they think that's the flow that the rest of the body of musicians is supposed to do. And I'm an old school guy. I try to just do things because I want to do it, because that's how music was built. These guys before us, Mozart, and anybody, they did things because that's just what they wanted to do. And to the degree that people in their generation didn't always like it, but over time it was appreciated. Therefore, the end result was legacy. So I try to dare to be different and hopefully be able to leave a legacy. Artists that I've been influenced by, I mean, where do I start? There has been a gazillion musicians, I feel like, and people that have influenced me at some point in my life or motivated me. And a lot of it, you know, in recent memory just goes by usually what I'm going through outside of music. What am I listening to at the moment to get me through things? Early on, I was inspired by funk, 70s funk, Ohio players, the Bar-Kays, Parliament, classic rock, Led Zeppelin. A couple years ago, I was going through some trying times in my life. Kendrick Lamar's Section 80, I played that religiously, and it got me through some tough times. Also, jazz drummer, composer Kendrick Scott, his album Conviction. There's just been a lot of guys. I mean, I'm a jazz head, I feel like, more than anything. So, I mean, the John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Joe Henderson, who's my favorite saxophone player of all time, Bill Evans, all of these guys have inspired me. Elvin Jones on drums, Tony Williams, Vinnie Colaiuta, my favorite drummer of all time, by far, just an alien. All of these guys have helped me in some shape or form. I mean, the gospel realm of the Winans Commission. I don't think anybody wants to hear my honest opinion because I am old school. I've been blessed to have parents be in different environments, different cultures, to just listen to music, pick up different things. And sometimes consciously or subconsciously, it has enhanced my approach to music in some shape or form. So those are just a few names. That's the tip of the iceberg, so I don't kill time on this lovely day just rambling about artists that have inspired me. What do I think about the state of music today? It has, like anything that evolves, some very strong points, but it also has some very weak points. In today's day and age where technology is king, it has taken away from some of us as musicians who have spent our whole life hours upon hours to try to reach a level of mastery, which I still haven't met. Like my good friend says, we are just apprentice. And that's the approach I always try to have. I'm always learning. The things that I gravitate to personally when I'm listening is the musicianship. This is why I have such a high regard for Kendrick Lamar when I don't have high regard for pretty much hardly any rapper from today's day and age. The first time I heard Kendrick Lamar, I was just baffled at his musicianship. Even though he doesn't play an instrument, the way that he phrases things around what's going on with the band, the instrumentation behind him, the way that he knows how to utilize space. And these are the things that I look for amongst performers that it's such a rare commodity nowadays. When back in the day, your Paul McCartneys, your Marvin Gayes, these guys were singers, they were writers, they also could play instruments. The guys that are successful today, like your Bruno Mars, Adam Levine, Justin Timberlake, these guys can all play instruments. Prince could play instruments. Michael Jackson, a lot of these guys, you know, they could sit down at the piano and they could write music. Today's day and age, it's few and far between. I mean, you get guys that find a way to use programming to mask the fact that they haven't developed the ability to play something. They sell records, but our culture is getting a lot dumber by some of the music that's being written today. Rap, I don't know what that is anymore. What happened to Wu-Tang Clan, Biggie, Tupac, Talib Kweli, Mos Def, KRS-One, Nas, Jay-Z, where are they? It's funny, but it's not funny. But that's where our music is today. I mean, you have a certain group of people that like what's going on, and then you have some of us that can't get out of the old school in which they were born in the 50s, who keep that tradition and that side of music alive by practicing, taking your craft serious, having humility, and then letting the chips fall where they may. Who am I listening to right now? I try to take only a minimal amount of albums and then study just those albums. Albums I've been listening to: Kenny Garrett, saxophone player, Pursuance, the music of John Coltrane. I think that album came out in 92 or 93. Pat Metheny playing guitar, Brian Blade on drums. Midnight Marauders, A Tribe Called Quest, legendary album. Phife Dawg, Shreds It to Pieces. Q-Tip, a genius. Also Jazz Head, which you can hear in his music. The hip hop drum grooves are a staple of sampling. 8 Million Stories. Sonny Rollins, saxophone great. Early 60s, Post the Bridge, Sonny, which some of you jazz guys that are listening, I won't get into the bridge story, but you know about the bridge story. Joe Henderson, Inner Urge album, which is a epic, just a dope album. On a complete opposite end from hip hop and jazz, I've really been listening to contemporary Christian, which two females that are extremely dope songwriters, just a very powerful message that I hope to one day work with. Carrie Job, Francesca Battistelli, both of them are just the message behind what they write. They're definitely God-sent people to worship music, contemporary Christian, just very tasteful instrumentation. I know it's a crazy whirlwind of music, but that's pretty much the music I've been listening to right now. And next week I might be listening to something else. Do you feel you have to be fearless? Of course, yes. But that doesn't help anybody, because people want to know maybe why or in what aspects, what field. There is times that you have to use keen judgment. It's not just being the aggressive pit bull. I've always been a driven person and very hungry. And when I turned about 18, that's when I started playing drums again. And at that point, I thought that I was a master. I was nowhere near mastery. I couldn't read. I had no independence as far as jazz. I was very gospel-y when I played. Like I said, I didn't know it. So being hungry can get you in trouble. And I've learned this now after having mentors, reading a lot, watching art, videos of just great musicians of yesteryear. And one thing that they always say when you want to have a career in music, you have to keep in mind that first impression is everything. So, like I said, with the fearless mentality, most of the time when you're young, you don't realize that first impression is everything. So your fearlessness can get you in trouble. Or I've burned opportunities with people because of their vision of me when I was attempting to find work when I wasn't ready. They would hear me play at 19, 20 years old, see that I just didn't sound good, although I thought I sounded good. So I talked a big game, and then they would hear me play and I wouldn't hear back from them, stuff like that. Fearlessness can get you in trouble. And so nowadays, like maybe some of those same people, 27 years old now, not 19, they may still second guess playing with me because of their impression that they had of me when I wasn't ready and I got myself out there too soon. I always recommend first being smart over fearless, having wisdom, using keen judgment, being honest with yourself about your abilities, and don't be afraid to say, I'm not ready right now, maybe I can work on some things. Basically, fearlessness is a great thing. You definitely have to be fearless, because you do got to beat bushes to make it. There's a ton of us, especially with drummers. There's drummers all over the place. You got to be fearless. You got to beat the bushes. You have to be realistic with yourself. There's certain things that you need to know if you're going to play shows, stuff like that. You need to be able to read. You need to be able to play to a click. If you're going to be fearless, be versatile. Also, don't be afraid to be told no, because like I said, when I was young, I got told no a lot. There's been gigs that I've lost mega church gigs out of stubbornness and not wanting to play to click tracks because I thought I didn't need one, and stuff like that humbles you. It gives you humble pie. The fearlessness came in handy on my behalf after it hurt me at first, because I kept going. I didn't decide to quit and pick a new career. I said, I'm gonna work at it and get better. And that's the fearlessness that you need to have in a positive mindset, is when you're told no, because you will get told no, keep going, keep pushing. And eventually the time will come if you're prepared. What's next for me? I'm taking it a day at a time. I'm working on a few different projects. I got a mini documentary I'm working on, just showing the jazz tradition, my love for jazz. I mean, I'm in a good place right now. I'm getting to play drums for a living. I got a family. The thing is, one gig can lead to another gig, but I don't put limitations on God. You know, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, being a good steward, who knows what the sky is always the limit. And once again, just being prepared, that's what I try to do, be prepared. If I'm prepared, opportunity will come, so I just keep working. People want to contact me. I'm always available for questions if you're in the area, lessons, Facebook info. I have a private page, Jaron Lamar Davis. I have a music page, Jaron Lamar Davis. YouTube page, Jaron Davis. I got some videos up, working on some more videos. I've been extremely busy. There was plenty of error in their music. They didn't play the metronomes, but it was feeling involved. And it's not the producer's fault. It's these unequipped musicians who think that they've already arrived because they don't have the apprentice mentality. They think that, well, I'm a professional, so I've done this, and they come into the studio completely not prepared.